Oh, cremation. Right, right. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and polluting. This becomes very interesting too. And I was going to, as Charles went on with that question, it becomes a little bit humorous because cremation has been going on for a long time, and they do it in different ways. I don't, I just thought they just burn the body, which is the best thing to do. Cremation is the best thing to do instead of all the embalming stuff and put them into boxes underground and whatever. This is where people eventually become the Walking Dead. They actually, figure a way to escape. Yeah, and they can be stuck under there too. You can be conscious actually inside of a box. That's scary. It's very real, just like you see in the movies. But anyhow, I was going to say something like, well, with all the GMO food today and people that eat a lot of this stuff and just everything we're eating, nanotechnology and what have you. And so, yeah, burning the body, cremation, and throwing it across the soil or the ocean, yeah, you're actually polluting the earth. But we're not going to get into those issues. But again, this is, it's so funny that, anything natural is not really looked upon so much by the governments and the FDA and anything, but anything artificial is. And then this all of a sudden becomes a big concern too. It's like, oh, we're polluting the environment, but they're not talking about chemtrails and Wi-Fi and vaccines and everything else and GMO food. No, we're not talking about that. That's like kind of okay, but now all of a sudden people are getting cremated. So now it's just another order of business that people have to be concerned about, if it's going there. And of course it all does is just to keep people confused. They dream up all these issues, okay, and they basically, keep in the back room all their issues of what they're doing because it's all planned deception. All these things that are really destroying the planet, they don't really talk about those. Those are like okay, you see, because it's officially okay. So when it comes to this stuff, that's why I don't keep up on this stuff because it's such nonsense. It's better to stay busy and focused with something that in some way makes sense to that leads step by step, however you do it, to recognizing the isness life is and freeing yourself from this and having a real life, one that you can't even imagine that so supersedes anything in creation while still being in creation. It's all workable. Everything is workable. It's just that the agreement to distortion is so huge that it is hard to see through. But it's all very simple. So, again, every issue that's created that doesn't make sense, that's because it doesn't. It's just that simple. It's not rocket science. You don't have to be smart. You don't need a diploma or a PhD to figure these things out. It's nonsense. Actually, you don't even need those things. The Indians never had any of these things. They did fine. So, yeah, it's all funny stuff that's all has been invented. And it's part of our personal life. And, we decide to sort it out or not. That's all making sense of things. And, I remember many years ago, many of the farmers, they would use pesticides or GMO or whatever. And read a couple stories about farmers that went natural, didn't do the GMO stuff or the pesticides. And they were actually looked down upon by other farmers because they just weren't following suit. And, today you have it to where, children in school and even the other parents are so, you might say, so dumbed down and brainwashed that the idea is they spread these things around. How do these things start? They spread these ideas around. It's like, well, if you have, if your children have friends that haven't been vaccinated, then they're a possible threat to you because your children have been vaccinated. This is how they psychologically get people to agree to their own misery. They really do. Because, we're here and the world's becoming more aware. And it doesn't take a lot of us. One brave person can make a difference. I'm not saying change. We're not here to change. We're not here to take down the buildings or, whatever, or fire people from their jobs that they want and bring somebody else new in. No, that's not the idea. But can make a difference to where people have the possibility to wake up or they don't. It's just really that simple. It's so simple. But then you start your journey to recognize how to do this. And here, since, even before that, but since Val and Kelsey have arrived and we're doing what we're doing here, and it's just, this is an area we picked. You could pick any area in the meantime until other things take place, which they are on the real side, but bringing them through. So we're doing the college thing here, and it's become a huge challenge, but it's all great because, again, it's at least providing a way for people to see what we're doing because they're investigating us. And Val is becoming the professional at this. He could teach a class in this someday. He could be the professor, right, Val? You're earning your degree, aren't you? Your natural degree of whatever you're doing, whatever we're doing here. Yes.
Whatever we're doing.
Life experience, yes. Whatever it is we're doing every day, it's something new, and Val's up for it, and Kelsey, and we're having fun with it. So even with what is going on with Lila, we've yesterday I decided, well, let's create a committee. So I did a group on Lila here, and Kelsey's going to make a little website, and we're just going to form the idea of a committee for the fun of it. So this is the committee for Lila and the situation that's going on, just like anything is formed. So I thought, okay, why not do this? Created a Facebook group on it and put up the letter that I wrote, etc. And then you can add to it with your statement, etc. and the investigation. So this all becomes fun. And we're helping these people investigate us. And at the same time, we're showing them exactly, what they've done to create this situation. Because, again, when it comes from the official list, it's like, well, they can decide whatever they want and it's all okay. Well, which it is. But at the same time, we have the right to say something, and that's what we're doing. So, again, we're just putting it right to them like, the We Are Guilty page of making our statement here, and that's fine. We're more than happy to be guilty. I am anyhow. I'll start it off. I'll take it. That's where when I wrote it, I brought it all around to myself. Others are here doing it, but really I will step up, and I will, when it comes to that, usually I put people before me, and I tell them I'll make you the star. I told Ava that. I told Val and Kelsey that I'll make you the star. I'll promote you. But when it comes to this confrontation, I'll step up. I'll be first in line. I'll take it on because it's fine. And so again, and then whoever else wants to step up also with this, because it becomes fun. And Val can share a little bit here of what's going on. Did you see the group? Did Kelsey tell you, Val?
I didn't see it. I saw it, but I didn't look at it in detail. I didn't even open it up. But yeah, I just glanced at it.
I just gave a little introduction, and I did the letter that I shared with you about the Lila adventure. And so it's like anything. Paul referred to many stories, and we're all having adventures, and people refer to me, etc., and have experiences on the real side. We all have experiences with each other, and it's interesting. Kelsey and Henry and others, they're seeing what's going on. And one of the experiences that Kelsey shared with me, if Henry wants to share it, about I was talking with Henry on the real side on Skype. Is Charles back okay yet?
Yeah, is it better now?
It's a little better, yes. Go ahead, Charles. And you were talking about cremation, and we kind of went over that, yes. And so again, go ahead.
Yeah, the proponents of this new method called cremation, let us consider just one form of burial where the body is embalmed before the burial. They say it uses the main ingredient in the embalming called formaldehyde.
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 Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, formaldehyde, which is a hazardous substance linked to cancer and irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat. And they say in the US, 800,000 gallons of this substance is dumped into the soil each year. So, how did we get to place a dumping? How did we get to place a dumping of such vast amounts of chemicals into the earth to preserve a body that's still going to decompose? So it is one doctor, Dr. Mekola, who is asking this question. So, and I see that all this fuss is about is due to incorrect knowledge of who we really are and the role and place of the physical body. So that's why I think, in my opinion, people are going to all these extents to embalm and do whatever as to preserve the body, to preserve the person as they think. And Dr. Mekola says after all these chemicals are dumped into the earth, destroying the ecosystem, destroying water sources and the soil, the body is still going to decompose. So Duane is concerned about the preservation of the natural environment at this level of life and on all the other levels of life. So what can you say about this?
Yeah, well, that's like the idea of preservatives. Okay, so things come and go just like fruit ripens and it rots. You only have so much time. We only have so much time here to do this because of what has taken place. And again, yes, all these ideas, people experiment with these, but really it's the controllers utilizing these factors to control people. So it doesn't matter what it is. So again, you're talking about formaldehyde, which of course is a lethal poison made from petroleum, like everything is. We got all kinds of lethal poisons, but basically everything's lethal now. Doesn't even matter what it is. There's no such thing as organic. I mean, you just do the best you can, but you have nanotechnology. But yes, they speak about these things, but the biggest thing is fracking, radiation, etc. All these other things that are already here, and so it gets to the point that it's not even worth discussing these anymore. In the beginning, years ago, we went over a lot of these things, and once in a while I touch upon them. But everything is so saturated now. It's like unless people really wake up, which they're not gonna for the most part, because it's illegal. It's even illegal to catch rainwater, so everything becomes illegal. But Monsanto and the poison makers, that's all fine. And what the FDA approves and all that, that's all fine. The Federation of Death and whatever. So again, agency. This is just how the earth is. And so until people stop, yes, we have the governments in place. We're not here to get rid of them. We're not here to get rid of anything. But until people wake up and recognize what's going on, well, that's what Kelsey's seen. That's what's going on. For the few that listen, yes, it is closing. And here's the idea. It's not so much that I'm concerned about the natural environment, yes, which is on all levels. It's really the idea of the natural environment, especially on the earth here with the physical body, is that people came here to, go through their experiences and educational process, you might say, to wake up. This is why you come back here or some other place in life. You're going through these experiences to eventually wake up and recognize something else. Well, as the environment becomes destroyed and people become sick and unable to even, get out of bed, and they're just all drugged all the time, well, that disrupts the process here and the reason why they came. It doesn't make sense. So yes, from a so-called higher level, if it's the astral, causal, mental worlds, or even the real universes, to come here to either provide something or go through certain experiences to better recognize the isness life is, well, all of a sudden, from that point of view, it's like standing on the top of a building. You can see down, you can see down 20 or 30 stories, but you really can't see things, again, really fine and clear until you get there, until you actually physically are there. And all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, this place is awful. How am I going to figure this out? And so, and then just to survive here with the physical body and to go through what you do. And just, it's like a person that, is going to college and, they have no money. So they got to work and go to college too. That becomes a strain, sometimes 2 jobs, and then just to go to college so that they can get a so-called better job, you see. And this has become the routine of things. So yeah, my concern overall is not so much the environment here. Yes, of course it is, 100%. But at the same time, I see that people are struggling to wake up and recognize this true reality because, again, they have been so rehearsed into the ideas of knowledge, to be followers, to be believers, cater to and collect wisdom and knowledge, which is basically astral references for the most part, stimulating their emotional bodies and sound good ideas, etc. And this is a whole, conglomeration of stuff that is constantly out there that looks good. And, study the ancient stuff and the ancient astronauts and all these things are very, very interesting. Yes, it is interesting. It's a big playground, but the all-natural environment I'm speaking about is the reality life is. That is the all-natural environment. It's everything, and seeing all of it, not just nature itself. So yes, there is a concern here, and this is why we're just trying to wake up a few people because, again, most people are very resistant, very defiant. They don't want to hear it. They don't want us, like in the college and that. They're proving it. When I did the first little concert there in 2013, I didn't go through we had a lot of resistance too. The second one that I tried to start was shut down. Didn't have much time, and all of a sudden it was shut down, and so we just kind of disappeared from there. Now we're attempting this again, and now it's a bigger resistance that's taking place, and this shows that the forces that be here, they're very determined to make sure that we don't get anywhere with what we're doing. And so it scares people a lot. You have to have courage. And I always take the risk. When you take the risk to do something that makes sense, and without the approval of others, yes, you do get ideas. I do get ideas from others too. I ask, we talk, Kelsey, Val, and I, and others I talk to. Even friends of mine that are into health or whatever, I ask them, I get viewpoints from them. Then I decide. I'm going to be the final decider, but I always decide to take the risk anyhow, because I'm not going to not do nothing unless it doesn't make sense with what's going on. Then I don't do it. I can't do everything all the time. This body needs its own rest and resources too. So what does make sense? But at the same time, fortunately, there's so much of what I've done over the years out there and through Facebook and the internet and all this, it's out there. But, getting back to this idea, because it's all the same thing, again, they're creating issues. And yeah, when you hear about 800,000 or a million gallons or whatever it is, and that's just a drop in the bucket compared to what is being dumped on the earth. That's, and again, for the most part, what do these people do? They have conventions. They talk about it. It's like, oh, we're having this convention next year. We're going to talk about the environment. Oh, and it all sounds good, and everybody comes and listens. And that's all they do is just talk, talk, talk. That's it. But it looks good. It's like, well, something's being done. You're thinking in your mind, oh, something's being done, and maybe Greenpeace is out there. They're helping save the world. Really? Do you see them? Do you know what they're doing? Again, it's all sound good ideas. This is where the psychology, they use psychology to control people. It's a psychological position where people just think that everything's okay, and then that means it's okay. But guess what? It's really not even close. And so becoming more aware is a real challenge, but that's the fun part. And you have the knowledge like never before because it doesn't have the connotation of the spiritual, religious, all these aspects. You don't need any of that. It gets better and cleaner than that. Again, it's like the sun shining. Now, people will say to me, where's the love, Duane? Where's the happiness and where's the love? Well, I see it like the sun shining because I see that as pure sincerity as the sun shines, because it's always shining. That's like your parents being always there for you. They're purely sincere. They're very sincere because they're always there for you. And the real guides in life itself too, but you have to recognize that. And if you want to add happiness or add, your thrill ideas or whatever it is you want to add, love and all these things, it's basically the emotional body is love. But life is survival. Go ahead and add those things. That's a choice, you see. You decide to add that. I'm not going to promote that so much simply because I'm promoting real survival. And all of a sudden people get disturbed thinking that, well, where's the love? We'll just do the love thing. Okay, that'll take care of everything. Guess what? Love is a choice. It's not the whole of life. This is the mistake that people, not really saying mistake, but this is the idea that people have. So again, Charles, with however the death thing is performed and these ideas, but for the most part, I see it as another way because, see, the reptilians and the aliens that control the earth, they don't care about people dying or whatever because they will take those souls by the neck and bring them back into another robotized body where they can even more so control them. So they know the process of things. And so as people become more aware, well, what they do is set up situations to keep people more encapsulated. So all these cute little ideas. And you have people that are deep freezing their bodies to come out in 100 years and all of a sudden life's going to be better and they're going to have lived longer. Well, it ain't going to happen. No technology is going to do that. You can do that in your real awareness. You can learn to do that. It's huge, but you can learn to surpass all these things. But in the meantime, we have all this funny stuff going on. And the world is so saturated with poison. Everything is poison and polluted. It's come to the point where I don't even pay attention to it anymore because everybody's dumping unconsciously and agreeing to it every single day, starting their cars, just even that. But there's so much more going on that, this is where, yes, the door is closing, and we're not closing it. The real guys aren't closing it. What it is that we need agreement for people to recognize this. And if they don't agree, if they keep pushing it aside like they're trying to do at the college with us, well, then eventually it is gone. We have no more avenues to go in. They've closed every door, and they've done it themselves. And what Kelsey has seen, this dark shadow over the earth, that's the consciousness, the collective consciousness of the earth. And this in the spiritual path is what people look to. They look for the great consciousness to occur. Well, guess what? There ain't no great consciousness occurring. You're in a consciousness, and all these people in these spiritual paths and these love ideas and all these things, they're the ones closing the doors along with everybody else. And they don't see it. They're allowing all the tap lining, all the reptilians. See, on one hand, they want their cute little spiritual ideas and all their love stuff, and they'll sit in their lotus position and meditate, hey, have fun. But at the same time, they're doing their business world and striving, chasing money and doing everything, etc., adding to the consciousness and the agreement of the business world that's controlled by the reptilians and the elites. Well, again, you tell me what makes sense. Yeah, what makes sense. So is it that you can put an anchor on your back and then jump into the water and expect to swim? You're going to sink to the bottom. You can't carry those anchors and expect to swim. It's not going to work or fly. Yeah, so again, the world's very interesting. So these things that you're bringing up, Charles, appreciate it because it activates presenting this to people so they have a better understanding. But it's all choice, and none of it's needed. None of these things that we have are needed. We don't need these computers again, like I've seen. We really don't. I'm focusing on a position, but who will see it, to where you won't need any of this. And it will be so much better than you imagine, but it's not about fixing the earth. The people on the earth have to decide to fix. Everybody's got to fix their own 3 or 5 square feet or whatever. They got to decide that. But when you have a collection of people that agree to the demise of the planet because they're unaware of it, well, it ain't going to be fixed. So, I promote that idea. It's a marketing ploy on our part, but it's to try and trick people into being wonderful. That's the difference, not trick them into being deceived. And so, again, it'll be twisted around to where, okay, that we're doing something wrong here, or it's fraud, you see. Well, again, who decided all that? And this is what we've been come up against in the college. And this is a prejudgment. It's all silly with Val going through 3 investigations, but we're stepping up. I'm doing whatever, and I'll go speak to these people, and Val's talking to them because, again, it's batting practice. I suggest to confront all this and to see how far we can go, because we are giving them a chance to take a look at what's going on. So no matter what is brought up here, Charles, and I know Dr. McCullough, okay, I used to read Dr. McCullough's newsletters, and just like the health rangers and others, they're trying to make their difference, and he's showed letters from the FDA. Again, they want to shut him down, and so again, when somebody becomes rather popular, it's a little bit harder. But again, they can do anything they want. Just like the health ranger, they took all this stuff off of YouTube and whatever, Facebook, what have you, and they can do it to me and anybody else. They're watching all of us because they don't want this. They'll let people have it to a certain amount, and then they'll just take over. This is what they do. They're very, very good at this. And so, but there's something else occurring here that the boys are working on, and I can't tell that right now because, again, it's just of a particular, but it's very, very interesting. And so we'll see how it comes out. But again, it needs agreement. It's like the cable company. It can go out there and lay all the cable, but it doesn't decide for each person to hook up to what's been laid, the cables that have been laid. You see, each person has to decide that. So, each person has to step up. And you've had this opportunity many lifetimes, and it doesn't last long. Paul was here for only a certain time, and after that came the takeover with Darwin and Harold. Came very rapidly. It was all planned, too, prior to that, just like World War I and II. World War I was planned in the 1800s. They planned that many decades before. This is a big plan that they have for all these things, all this deception and destruction. They're always planning that. This is what they do 24 hours a day, like termites. They just destroy, destroy, destroy. And so this is the world we're living in. How many times can I say this? So again, this is where, Val and Kelsey and some others, they recognize what's going on. To get your focus, okay, trying to get your focus to recognize this isness, because even when you cross over to the real side, seeing people, they don't know where they're at. They're actually like in a twilight zone, even though they've had the knowledge, and they're thinking that, oh, well, the guides or the masters will take care of me. No, they're not going to think for you. You have to still do that. And just because all of a sudden you moved into the astral worlds or some other place in creation, that all of a sudden it's going to be instantly open up for you. It's not. These designated heavens are la-la lands. Yes, they do exist like beautiful places on the earth. But just because you go to a beautiful place on the earth, let's say you're born in Watts or the slums of Brooklyn or wherever it is, okay, and then you go to some place on the earth, a beautiful place on the earth like Hawaii, does that make you more aware? Does going to another place make you more aware? Not necessarily. It doesn't, because it's about your real awareness. These are places in life. And you don't need to go to places to become more aware to where eventually you see all of it. You surpass all the places in life. This is what's so cool about your real awareness. And so again, it's, again, thank you for bringing this up, Charles. I know you have a challenge there to bring things forward because we've done so many Skypes, but keeping up to date here with what's going on in the world. And in the meantime, all of us have experiences, and if someone has experiences that relate to this, yes, please step up and say something. But go ahead, Charles. Thank you.